Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. The Canadiens get back in the win column. Thank gosh for that. They get a 3-2 overtime win against the Vegas Golden Knights there. That's a series season sweep against the Vegas Golden Knights as well. Took overtime in this one, but we still got the win there. I'm not sure if the Canadiens have ever, gone back to back and won both games against Vegas in a season, but we do this year, and those were big points, as I mentioned before. Obviously, with everybody else in the Atlantic being as good as they are right now, we need to win every single game that we can possibly win. So we stay very much in the conversation. Unfortunately, Buffalo does also win today. Boston won in overtime today as well. So again, like, everybody is staying very much in that conversation right now. So we got to continue to fight and continue to get every point that we can get here. So it's huge to get those points there. We're tied with Boston here. I believe we're tied with Buffalo as well for points here. So it's really anybody's game, of course. All three of those teams really seem to be the front runners for these playoff positions right now, with Florida being behind by 59 there. So we have a good 6 point lead against them at this point. So yeah, we just need to continue to win, obviously. Continue to get points as best we can here, because again, nobody else is slowing down here. So but a big game to get 2 points there. Didn't always look solid. Didn't always look like we were going to come away with it, but obviously we rallied in the second period a bit, and then found a way to win in overtime there. Starting in the first period, Dorofeyev scores for Vegas. It was just kind of an unfortunate. We were trying to cycle the puck around in the offensive zone, lost the handle on it a little bit, and gave a 2-on-1 away the other way. And Dorofeyev has really proved this year that he's a pretty potent goal scorer, and he makes good use of that 2-on-1 there to just walk in and snipe it on Dobesh there. So an unfortunate start to the game, but in the second period, Cole Caulfield scores on the power play, but it gets taken away for offsides, which I still can't even see a clip where it actually proves that it was offsides. I mean, I'm sure that there's a clip that nobody's allowed to see other than the referees for whatever reason that shows that it is offsides, but I didn't see it. But it's unfortunate the way that it goes. But we ended up getting, the goal to tie the game anyway. Philippe Deneau is the one that scores. It's the second goal of the season there. He gets a nice tip on a Bolduc shot. It's this Bolduc's 10th assist of the season there. So it was a nice play. I mean, it's kind of broken play a little bit, but a nice work by Deneau to tip a nice shot there. Bolduc, the puck is kind of going out of the zone, and he grabs it just before it crosses the blue line and just turns around and fires it on net. And Deneau is able to tip that one into the net there. So I guess puck don't lie, if you will. So we got one taken away from us, and then we get a nice little random tip chance that goes in and ties the game. And then 5 or so minutes later, Cole Caulfield scores his 30th of the season, so he reaches that 30-goal milestone for the second time in his career there, the second time in a row. He's able to tuck it in on the backhand. Lots of plays. It was a 2-on-1 that started the whole thing. Caulfield made a nice shot that just got saved away by the goaltender there, and then Matheson was able to get to Dobson, who kind of makes a nice toe drag move, walk to the front of the net, tries to get it over to Cole Caulfield, doesn't quite get it to him, but then Texier kind of lets it go through him, and Cole Caulfield eventually gets it on the back door and taps it in. Kind of tucks it in on the backhand there. Kind of a greasy goal. You don't see that from Cole Caulfield too often, but we'll take those wherever we can get them. Cole Caulfield does in fact extend his point streak, his goal streak there, I believe, to 6 games or something like that with a goal. And he's got his 30th of the season there. So continue to prove USA Hockey wrong, and everybody who doubts him. So good to see him score on that one, and that 2-1 lead would hold for the rest of the second period and most of the third period. But unfortunately, in the dying minutes of the third period, Dorofeyev scores again. It's a really nice tip play as well. There's nothing that Dobesh could do on that one, in my opinion. It was just a nice tip off of a defensive shot towards the stick. It makes a really nice redirection in the top corner there. So nothing you can do. It's just unfortunate. I feel like this is another period again where I felt like kind of like in the Boston game, we kind of stood back a little bit. We are kind of hoping that our 2-1 lead would hold and we'd win the game in regulation there. I just don't like the trends that I'm seeing in that way. It very well could have gone the way of the Boston game as well, where we end up losing in regulation because we completely lost the momentum after a late tying goal situation. But fortunately, we were able to hold off until overtime there. We got a little late power play there. That helped us out a little bit. We weren't able to score on that power play in regulation or overtime, but at the end of the day, Jake Evans is able to get the overtime winner. So really good to see Jake Evans scoring in a big moment like that. That's not necessarily his goal or his role as on the team, but he's able to make a really nice play. He gets the puck from Texier in our own defensive zone. Texier's 11th assist there, and Jake Evans' 6th goal of the season. But yeah, he gets the puck from Texier, goes in on a 2-on-1 with Caden Gooley, but then he takes it all on his own, goes forehand, backhand, and tucks it in the far side. And that was lights out there. So really cool to see Jake Evans getting on the score sheet in that way in an overtime winner. And a very nice move too, a very skilled move by Jake Evans. Not something that I feel like clearly the goaltender even expected to come from him. So it was nice to see him get that one, and huge for the Canadiens to pick up that second point there, because as I mentioned, every other team in the Atlantic Division is continuing to win games and play really well. Obviously, Buffalo retains their third spot in the Atlantic. The Montreal Canadiens are sitting at that first wild card position, but they are tied with Boston for that first wild card position. Obviously, Boston does have the tiebreaker in terms of regulation wins. They just have played one more game than we have. So again, like the even more reason for the Canadiens can continue to win games, continue to find a way to get points in the standings here. I feel like definitely in these past couple of games there were obviously opportunities for the Canadiens to get those points. They just weren't able to get it done. But we had another opportunity coming up on Thursday as well against a really solid opponent in the Colorado Avalanche, who, by the way, are only 4-4-2 in their last 10 games here. So it should be interesting to see how that game goes. But they do have they are the league lead right now, 79 points. They got 35 wins and only 6 losses up to that point with 50 games played. So really impressive season for Colorado so far, but I think the Canadiens are very much looking to take advantage of their recent kind of slump. Again, only 4-4-2 in their last 10, so it should be interesting to see how the Canadiens can take advantage of that, if at all. If we can squeak out a point, maybe 2 in this one, that would be huge. At the very least, the Canadiens are definitely expecting to do better than what they did in their last contest against them when they lost 8-2. Hopefully being on home ice will help them out just a little bit in that regard, but we'll have to see how that all goes. But yeah, again, like this is a big game for the Canadiens to win. They got outshot. I felt like Dobesh played a really solid game. I don't really think either of the goals were really on him by any means. So it was good to see him play a really solid game, have a really solid performance, making 32 saves in this one. So yeah, again, like a really solid performance for him. I feel like our guys showed up pretty well. I think again, like there were definitely times where we sat back a little bit too much, but we found a way to get the win at the end of the day there. So that is really all that matters here. Just we got to continue to make winning a habit going forward, because again, like we were playing Colorado on Thursday, a really tough opponent there. Sabres again on Saturday, which is going to be a ginormous game for the Canadiens to hopefully get 2 points in. We've already lost to Buffalo in regulation twice in the past 14 days or whatever it is at this point, like a week and a half. So it's definitely big to get those wins there. But again, like every single point that we can possibly squeak out is going to be absolutely massive for the Canadiens, considering where they are in the standings right now, because the Atlantic Division is just such a solid division right now. They just need to find a way to stay competitive within the division and not fall out of the playoff spots, because I feel like definitely considering the youth of this team and the emotion that might come with it, I feel like falling out of a playoff position may not fare well for us. Although last year we were able to rally post Four Nations and find a way into the playoffs. So maybe regardless of what happens going into the Olympic break, we'll find a way to rally coming out of it. But we'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this one. It was a really good performance for the Canadiens. They were able to survive an onslaught of penalty calls against them. I felt like there were a lot of penalties that were called against them that I didn't really agree with. Caulfield got called for like kind of a phantom call against Marner, and like Lane Hudson got called for one that I thought was kind of lame, and I think Oliver Kapanen got called for interference when he was trying to tag up to be onside, and he didn't even like intend to hit anybody, and I don't know. So there were a lot of calls that went against him, and we were able to do really well in the penalty kill in this game, which I thought was really good. The one thing that I thought was kind of iffy in this one was our power play. I felt like we just do a little bit too much of moving the puck around and not a whole lot of just getting, chances to the net. I feel like, the best power plays in the league have a way of just, finding that one or two pass combination that gets them a puck kind of close to the net. It doesn't always work, of course. I felt like, especially playing against Vegas in this one, we were able to shut them down pretty well, and they're one of the best power plays in the NHL right now. But I feel like the Canadiens have to do a little bit better of being more threatening on our power play. Sometimes we're on and sometimes we're off, of course. Obviously in the Boston game, Cole Caulfield did pretty well on the power play there, but I feel like we need to do a little bit better of just getting a more threatening opportunity there, getting guys in front of the net, screening, all that kind of stuff, and just getting pucks towards the net in a more threatening way. So I feel like it's a work in progress, and we'll have to see what happens there. But I would like to see that be a little bit cleaned up if we want to be, a more consistent team. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this one. I feel like obviously, we got the 2 points. That's the huge thing that we get out of this one. Obviously, incredibly important to get every point that we can. I've been mentioning this, for months now, it feels like. So definitely big for the Canadiens to get those 2 points. It's just we got to make this a habit. We got to continue to play the way that we did in that second period there. To find a way to get some goals on the board and shut down the opposition there, play a good penalty kill, all that jazz. So and we got to make it a habit because we are not getting any easier in terms of our schedule going forward here. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this one. So I appreciate you guys listening to this one, and I will catch you guys after hopefully at least a point, maybe two, against the Colorado Avalanche at home on Thursday.